We're in week 5, so you guys have just a couple weeks left of the transformation, and this is a really, really important habit that I want you to focus on this week. So you've incorporated the last 4. Hopefully those are now more into your daily routines. And your 5th one is cutting added sugars. So when we think sugar, we usually think of the white granulated sugar stuff. The thing is sugar comes in a lot of different forms. Sugar comes in the form of fruit. So even though it's not an added sugar and it's just normal sugars that occur naturally in the fruit, it still triggers that sweet, quick sugar carbohydrate. So we want to try to limit the high sugar fruits and high sugar foods. But again, it's not always as obvious. We know cookies, candy, chocolate, all of the pastries, those things that are typically that we know are high in sugar, but a lot of healthy foods also hide a lot of forms of sugar. So a couple different ways that we need to be careful is when we look at things even like our cereals. This is a whole grain cereal, but they've actually added sugar to it, a type of sugar. Here they've actually added evaporated cane juice and honey. So again, they're adding the sugars. So though it's limited in smaller amounts, we still need to be cautious. I've actually listed several types of added sugars just so that when you read your ingredients, you know exactly what you're looking for. So you'll see granulated sugar, you'll see raw sugar, you'll see brown sugar, and that's pretty obvious. But here are some that we maybe don't really fully recognize as sugar sources. Evaporated cane juice, brown rice syrup, high fructose corn syrup, molasses, invert sugar, raw sugar, honey, anything ending in OSE, like OS, sucrose, dextrose, glucose, maltose, lactose, which is a milk sugar. Those are also forms of sugar. So when you're looking at ingredients, even things like a Kashi bar, you look at this and okay, this might be a relatively good quick snack, except when I'm looking at this, I see brown rice syrup, I see evaporated cane juice, I see it on there 2 or 3 times. So there's a few different times that they're actually adding sugars to it. So we have our maple syrups. Brown sugar, sugar in the raw is really no different than just regular granulated sugar. So people ask me, well, how do I sweeten things like my coffee, or what sugar should I use? So if you've ever heard of stevia, which is a plant, stevia, or one of the brand names is Truvia, that's something that you can use. There's also agave nectar or a honey, but the thing is with the agave nectar and the honey, you still have to realize it's still sugar. It's still entering into your bloodstream, increasing your glucose levels, which is a real culprit to fat loss and energy long term. So really the goal is to try to sustain your energy levels by eating more fruits, high fiber foods, which is another habit we'll talk about, but eliminating these as much as possible. So again, you want to also be very careful of sugar-free, because if I'm telling you avoid the added sugars, well, now the natural thought is, well, what if I go to sugar-free? The problem is sugar-free, when you take the sugar out of something, the sweetness, that equals taste. So they usually have to add something back in, like in juices they do this. They'll add an artificial sweetener in order to keep it sweet. Yogurts do this a lot in order to keep the calories down. But you'll still see the effects, maybe the aftertaste, you want more of it. It never truly satisfies that craving, so you end up wanting more and more sweet. So really the goal is to limit the number of sweet things that you have in your diet so that you're less likely to want more and more, because it's just the way that your brain physiologically continues to crave those sweets, even if it comes in a natural form of sugar. So again, just be cautious. I want you to focus on your labels on anything that you're buying. Look at sugar. Number 1 thing you should be looking at on your nutrition labels is sugar. Anything over about 8 to 10 grams of sugar, look right at that ingredient list. How many times is that list of sugar, anything from that list, how many times are they showing up here? Breads, a lot of breads, second ingredient is some type of sugar, so you really have to be cognizant and pay really close attention. So from here on, this week forward, I want you to focus on eliminating added sugars as much as possible in your diet. So with that said, I'll see you next week.